Hey everybody, this is the Plastic Commando coming to you today from deep behind enemy lines. And man, has it been a while since I've been able to make videos of anything, content. It's not that I've been out of the loop. I've enjoyed all of your all's videos, especially folks that's in the community that I typically subscribe to. Been keeping up with a lot of things that's been happening over the last year and a half. New games that's coming out. Really enjoy the content from a lot of creators. You guys put a lot of hard work into it, so it kind of inspires me to do things on my end too. And so yeah, just been busy like everybody with life, work, and just not much time to kind of get into my own personal hobbies. But I have tried to get back into that slowly. It's been a good year, so taking some time for myself here and there to kind of get back into what I enjoy doing. And so making a video today, obviously you see from the title, a lot of topics to cover, but I'm going to try to keep it extremely short. The big thing is I'd like to give a huge shout out recently. About 2 months ago, General Handgrenade, he had a 1 million contest winner. I mean, he has just totally set the standard for video content when it comes to Axis and Allies, global war, 1936, 1945, and other things. But I've followed General Handgrenade for quite some time, and wanted to give a big shout out to him. One, congratulations on 1 million views. And I was actually the #1 prize winner in General Handgrenade's 1 in a million contest. And still, I still don't believe it, but I've got a few things to prove it. Doug at Historical Board Gaming had offered the prizes that General Handgrenade gave out during his contest, and I got #1, $200. So a huge thank you to Doug at Historical Board Gaming for that. And the fact that I won is awesome. So, you know, I put it to good use. I've bought a few things that have interested me for a while. You know, I bought the 1914 Task Force set, which looks excellent. Looks really good. I've been needing something for my Axis and Allies World War I game that I enjoy playing. Let's see, what else? I got Operation Overlord, the custom map that's on HBG's site. I don't recall right off who developed the map in the game. I believe it's a guy from France, if I'm not mistaken. You can get an English version as well as a French version of Operation Overlord. So I took a chance. I got that one. It looks really cool. I mean, I admit it looks really cool. Once you purchase the map, you get a download of all the rules and the setup, which I've got. The language barrier is not too bad. There's a few words that I think the creator of the content has some difficulty with English, but a Google search, you could figure out, oh, this is a tank, or this is a pillbox, whatever. But it's not bad at all, and it does look cool. It's a very in-depth D-Day game, and so I'm going to be kind of getting into that over the next 6 months to a year, and I'm going to put some content up on that as well. What else did I get? I was able to get the Kursk custom map, the Battle of Kursk, and Operation Barbarossa, and those are outstanding. I mean, the maps look great. I'm not going to show them to you today. I'm going to kind of pull these out and kind of dive into them, you know, throughout this year, and really kind of dive into the. I printed off all the rules and the setup charts. I want to get those, you know, more professionally made, I guess. You know, apply them to some styrene backing, something like that, to make them look a little better for gaming purposes. All three look great. So if you're interested in something different, I encourage you to to go to Historical Board Gaming, check those out, and see if it's something that might interest you. They're more of, obviously, Kursk and Operation Barbarossa are more of campaigns, major campaigns that happened obviously in the Soviet Union, but they look absolutely really cool. And while on the topic of maps, I did not buy it this time with the prize money, so to speak. But another good map that you guys may want to check out, again, looking for something different, totally different, ancient warfare, is the Rome Fall of the Empire game that is on HBG's website as well. I'd actually purchased that maybe about a year ago, and have been getting into that a little bit. It's a fun game. What I've been doing in that game mostly, though, I've got a crap ton of miniatures that I'm painting up right now as we speak, detailing, weathering, and I'm gonna do some videos on that as well. It's a fun game. It's just like, well, it's not just like, but it's very similar in Conquest of the Empire, something like that. It's as they say, it's a beer and pretzel game. And time-wise, I'm really kind of getting into more of those sorts of games if possible because of the length of play for some games. And I just like to be able to kind of get in and play a game in an afternoon or an evening, be done with it. But that doesn't mean I don't like the big long games. I love them. It's just a matter of having time and having someone come over to want to commit the time and play is the issue. But that's another great game as well. So otherwise, hey, I've got a lot of 3D sculpts from Historical Board Gaming. Not only with this prize money I got, but I've been purchasing like a madman. So I'm trying to keep Doug in business personally. I know everybody else is, and he's got a fantastic business. I'm doing my part, Doug. But in any event, so I'll be planning to make some videos on these custom maps coming up. I'm really excited about them. They look great, and I think they're going to be extremely fun to play. I know the Ancients game. I do like it. I've dabbled in it. So other stuff. Along the lines of Historical Board Gaming, and I'm sure if any of you guys have visited the website, I mean, you've just seen an absolute explosion of new products. 3D sculpts. I mean, every time you click on, there's like a massive dump of new 3D sculpts, and it's been mind-numbing to try to figure out, okay, do I buy this, or how much do I spend this week? And so good thing I can save them and prioritize. But I've been a very frequent shopper because, I mean, the content is just absolutely incredible. The 3D sculpts are excellent. I mean, I don't have an issue hardly at all with the sculpts themselves. They're very detailed. They match up with everything in these games that we like to play. So it's excellent. I really like them. But again, just the sheer volume to choose from, the quality is something that has drawn me to these 3D sculpts. And I'm kind of retrofitting some of my games, pieces that I thought that I didn't need anymore, and I'm kind of taking some of those out, chucking them, putting them on eBay, and replacing them with some of the new sculpts. But depending on some of the sculpts, I will say, depending on the type of appendage, they can be a bit brittle. I've not had really too many issues with those, but I will say that I do know if you get a piece that's broken, HPG's got great customer service. They'll take care of you. They'll replace that on your next order. So peace of mind. But most time that I get 3D sculpts, infantry, things of that nature, don't have an issue with it. So, but check them out. I mean, there is a ton of stuff coming out, not just World War II, modern day, you name it. So anyway, that's big shout out just for the content that HPG's got. Also, combat miniatures. They've been diving into some of the 3D sculpts. Say over the last year or so. They look good. They got different poses for infantry. Infantry is primarily what I've purchased. There's several different poses, which is pretty neat. Several different. I've got some the Anzac. I've got some Japanese, which I purchased, and a few others. So I'm in the process again of getting some of these painted up, and you'll be seeing those in coming videos as well. But again, maybe check out Combat Miniatures too if you're looking for something different in terms of 3D sculpts as well, or to add exactly to what you've already got at HPG. They all match up pretty good. So, for my purposes, I'm going to primarily stick with historical board gaming and combat miniatures. Over the last year, I've dabbled here and there, finding other companies that produce 3D sculpts for gaming. I'm not going to name names, but I've been on Etsy, and there's a couple creators with content on there, 3D sculpts that make them for Axis and Allies type games, and I've probably had 50-50 luck on some of those. One guy, he did try to replace them and fix them, but they came back. They were just too thin. There's too much detail, and it's they just weren't good at all. So I do have a couple that I did keep. They look great, but for my purposes, I'm not going to shop around. I'm just going to stick with the folks that I know. So any event, that's just my opinion. And then my stuff, in terms of my stuff. Again, like I said, I've been working on my miniatures and armies for World War II games. I started several years ago in my Axis and Allies miniatures. In some of the previous videos, I've shown just a few here and there while I've been working on them. I've not really made any dedicated effort, though, to try to customize my Axis and Allies Global War miniatures because, frankly, it's so vast and time consuming. I spent some time, as you know, in some of my previous videos, working on Axis and Allies World War I miniatures. Enjoyed that. Pretty well done with most of them, but I didn't want to commit the time it takes to get into these customizations on my miniatures for World War II games. But over the last year, that's kind of what I've been doing as well. So I've been doing a lot of that, as a matter of fact, and I'm just trying to set it up more like a factory. Instead, in years past, I would just sort of pull out a few here and there, paint them up, and put them back in and go off to something else and realize I hadn't made much progress. But now I'm basically got a whole box of them, working on them, customize them. So I'm gonna bring those out and showcase my efforts in coming videos as well. Enough of me flapping my gums. That kind of brings me to what I've got here, and you'll see I've got my 1936-45 Global War version 2 map. Yes, version 2. I'm a retro old fart that still is into this game, not the other versions. Be honest with you, I'm still learning to play. I unlike some people that play often, I've had a hard time trying to get individuals to want to play and just dedicate time to try to play this game. And I'm really diving into it. I like it. I still love this map. I got this map probably, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, right when version 3 came out, and I told myself, I better get it because Doug's going to get rid of it. And I don't think you can even find the map now on their website. Glad I did. I love it. I always liked it. I just didn't want to spend the money at the time to try to get into it. But I still like this map. I like the matte finish. I'm not so much into the big vibrant colors, but I still like this one. So this kind of brings me to my little group of folks here in the middle. All right, let's take a look at the Volkssturm, the defense of Germany. So I'd found a good set of miniatures. I've been trying to find for some time some good Volkssturm defenders. I'm not as crazy about some of the ones that I've seen. Maybe some of the old sculpts from HPG that we had. And I didn't just want to use regular infantry. I wanted to make it actually look different. And so I came across a while back this box of 72nd scale miniatures from Mars. It's the German Volkssturm Defenders, World War II. And not bad. I think for purposes of gaming, like for these type of games, Axis and Allies and such, they're pretty good. They match up well. I'll show you in a second with existing miniatures from Axis and Allies and Global War, produced at HPG. But some of these companies, I have to say, there's a bit of flash. The pictures always look great on the back of the boxes. But when you get the plastic out, there's quite a bit of flash that you have to contend with. But these are heavy duty plastic. They're not the flimsy kind that I just despise. So this is not a bad set if you're looking for coming up with your own Volkssturm miniatures. They paint up nice as well. So let's take a look at these. And actually, before we kind of get into that part, I'll show you how they match up in terms of size. I'll try to hold these here as soon as I get my finger around it, to where you can kind of get a gauge of. So you see, I've got the bases pretty well lined up. Yeah, and size-wise, they match up really well with out-of-box, or excuse me, game miniatures as well. So I do like that part. Now on these, I didn't really like I've been trying to get away, if possible, from the bases that come on traditional 1/72 scale miniatures. They're all irregular, round. I've been trying to get some uniformity into the game. So what I actually did, if I can stay in focus here, is I had a bunch of old HBG stands. Well, technically they were miniatures that I've had, and like you know, back in the day, you would get some that some of the old miniatures. I mean, the barrel would look like I mean, it was like rounded, curved, and you would try to do the hot water techniques, and they just wasn't happening. And but I bought a bunch that were like extremely cheap, wrong colors. I mean, really cheap. So I just I disposed of a few of those, and I used the bases for these miniatures, and I think they turned out pretty good. You can see here the feet are pretty well on the base itself, and that actually, again, and that gives it a bit more realism to the game as far as the other miniatures that you've got. And you'll probably see on this one, I did some customization, not just with the base, but since these are Berlin Defenders, I also have had them standing on some debris, which I made up. I think this was Vallejo's earthworks that I used to kind of just paint on. And then, of course, I primed everything and then glued it on with super glue. And I think it turned out pretty good. It gives the appearance that these are actual city defenders standing in the rubble of the buildings that the Soviets are just pounding on. So I like how these turned out really well. So we've got a few different options to choose from in the box. I only chose about 7. I really didn't want to get too many defenders going, but you'll see here we've got 2 women with Panzerfaust. So these are the Panzerfaust Fräuleins. I like these sculpts as well. I had to have the Panzerfaust. There you go. Kind of give you an idea. I've got the armbands painted on that you would have normally seen with the Volkssturm Army in Berlin. We've got the kind of a traditional, probably this guy was in regular German Army toward the end. They were limited on their own equipment. He's probably in command of a lot of these German defenders. And I think this one turned out really nice as well. Got two of those. And then I've got Hans and Franz, the Hitler Youth Fanatics. These are probably my favorite. I like these quite a bit. I tried to emulate the fanaticism as best I could. They're wearing the German swastikas on their arms, and those are simply small decals. I think these decals were the ones from Combat Miniatures I'd got years ago, as I keep dropping them. And they have some really small ones, and they fit well for armbands, so maybe keep that in mind. And then I just took some red paint, painted around them to make it look like an actual armband. So these defenders, I thought, turned out really well, and I liked them for purposes of a defense of Berlin. Of course, we've got some of the custom markers that HBG sells. We've got the Volkssturm here with Hans and Franz, the Hitler Youth Fanatics. We've got the Hitler Jugend. And these are just kind of a neat customization to signify who they are. And so kind of brings me to my next point. Again, as I said, I'm still I'm still learning how to play Global War on my end. I've been watching videos for a number of years to kind of get going through the manual and get ideas and try to, again, just try to learn how to play. But one thing I've not got to yet is the Volkssturm as militia that's in the version 2 rule book. So if somebody's watching at this point in the video and you play the game, I'd kind of like some feedback if you could. I'm trying to figure out maybe the best house rule to use for these guys. All right, so when I get into the rule book for version 2 for the Volkssturm, obviously we've got up here on the special abilities for the German army. Got the Volkssturm. It says directly Germany can build Volkssturm militia units. These are built in Germany, so Germany proper, just like ordinary militia, but may rail or move within German home country. And then, of course, which I noted quite some time ago with the, with the militia, you've got, of course, the attack defense factors and movement not applicable. So I guess the big question I've got is, these are meant to be Volkssturm German defenders. I guess the thing that I'm struggling with still is what's the difference between regular militia that you can purchase versus the Volkssturm designation? Because to me, I've always felt like the Volkssturm were primarily, specifically, German defenders in Berlin, certainly. And so I guess I'd like a little bit of feedback on the house, or not the house rule, but the rule itself. Obviously, it appears the way this reads, they can be railed or moved within the country, perhaps as other defenders in a city. But I think for my purposes, what I plan to do and would like to do more so would just have these guys only in Berlin. And so, I'm thinking, maybe if you can move these guys around in the rule, I may actually bypass that rule, but I do welcome any feedback if someone can help me out on that part. I think, as a more practical matter, I think these guys were active in the defense of Berlin. And so because of that, I'm going to just have them stay within the territory of the city, Berlin itself. So I think in terms of my house rule, obviously, we can, depending on whether you're playing Axis and Allies or this game itself, obviously purchase at 2 and attack rather than have an attack, perhaps focus more on the defense rather than a 2. I'm kind of thinking maybe having them defend on a 3. But again, depending upon whether you're playing Axis and Allies, that might need to be adjusted. But I guess I know the Volkssturm were not overly impressive, but there were some units that did fight with vigor. And so I'd kind of like to, if we do get to this point, the game's likely getting pushed toward the end, but I would like to have some punch from these guys to basically maybe help, and with Germany's allies, if they're left at that point, to maybe help dig themselves out and be able to hold on to the capital. So I'm kind of thinking maybe of bolstering the defense. So anyway, I welcome any feedback. I'd greatly appreciate it. I've kind of struggled though with that ability and the special abilities that they can rail or move within German home country. So hopefully somebody can help me out with that. So okay, like usual, I've not kept the video very short, but I just wanted to share some of the work I've been doing. Had a lot of fun making these guys, painting them up. They look great. They just look like poor defenders that are waiting to get shot. But in any event, thanks for tuning in. Glad to be able to get back, get some content going, get my head back into my passion for these hobbies. And let's get to playing some games. I'm going to keep following you guys. I like the... I'm liking some of the 1914 that's coming out, the new Global War 1914 game. Been watching a few videos, not many. I've watched a few so far. I like the Global War 1985 that was just showcased at, I think it was Historicon, maybe that's what it was. It was the event in Oklahoma. I think Doug made an appearance there, but that's looking good. The guys are really doing a good job on that game. I like the 80s look of the 1985 map. So in event, thanks for tuning in. This is the Plastic Commando, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care. Over and out.